In previous videos, we walked you through the stages of change, the stages of development that were provided for us by a scientist named Prochaska, and we overlapped it with President Nilsson's developmental cycle, the Discover, Plan, Act, Reflect. And we're going to pick up again today on where the pre-contemplation, I'm not quite serious about making change, to the contemplation phase. So if you're aware of people in your ward, if you're aware of some priests or some elders or others who might be starting to become serious about the change process, the tools I'm going to give you today are designed to help you with that process. Let's say you're sitting there in your office and you have someone come in and they bring all the humility they can, all the peace that they can, and they go, "I'm scared, I'm worried, but let's talk." And you're like, "Okay, let's talk." And unfortunately for many church leaders, they're like, "What's the problem? All right, let's make a plan. Don't do that anymore." The end. And then they go, "That's the plan? That's what's going on here?" We really don't want to get totally into people's heads as church leaders. We don't want to like micromanage them. We don't want to tell them what to do or make them do things. But so many of them that come to us don't quite have the ability to say out loud, "But I don't actually know what to do. I've already tried this, I've already tried that, and I don't actually know what to do." As soon as you have that on the table, please don't assume that what's going on for them is a lack of motivation. I've interviewed thousands of young men, thousands of adult men, thousands of people who are striving for self-mastery, and motivation is never the problem. In my younger years, I fantasized about being a superhero athlete in all forms, being one of the rare ones who is in the NBA and in the NFL at the same time, because I was so amazing at both. As I grew older, and in high school, I was 5'8" and 130 pounds. I don't know why, but most basketball teams are not looking for a 5'8" guy, and most football teams are not looking for a guy as scrawny as 130 pounds. And so I went through this process of giving up. Can't do it, not gonna happen, don't have what it takes to do it, so I'm just gonna give up. But when it comes to sexual self-mastery, most of us don't want the person to give up because they just don't know how and they don't know what they're doing. If they're going to have any hope for success, we have to give them some skills. We have to give them some tools and some understanding. All right, Bishop, to really feel like you have useful tools for them, you're gonna have to be familiar with the psychological self-mastery principles that are taught in the Like Dragons Do They Fight book, which you can either read, you can watch on video. There's a link in this that'll connect you to a 30-something minute video that'll give you a quick overview of the principles, or the audio version of it, because if you don't feel equipped with tools on how to help them with the techniques that are available, then you're going to lose them. And you're not going to be able to give them the confidence and hope that you want to. It has been our experience, as I've been interviewing hundreds of bishops, that bishops have a spectrum of how involved in the counseling process they want to be, or they feel comfortable being, or they have the ambition of being. We have some bishops who have been dentists or farmers or plumbers their whole life, and the counseling side of being a bishop quickly puts them out of their comfort zone. They're in over their head like, "I don't know what I'm doing here." I've got at least one bishop who, as soon as a woman enters his office and starts crying, he calls me. He's like, "Yeah, I'm out of my league here. I don't know what I'm doing. Help, help, help." And I don't feel confident in my counseling skills anytime soon. So if you're on this end of the spectrum where you really want to have a professional counselor who validates LDS principles quickly, I encourage you to have at least 2 or 3 of them in your pocket that you've gained confidence in, that you have some reason to believe they'll do a good job, so that you can go, "Okay, as I'm pondering the needs of this person, I think I'll call Bob or Sam or Sue and have them help me out with this case." On the other end of the spectrum are those who we have some bishops who actually went to school to become counselors, who become therapists, and they're feeling very confident in their capabilities. We want to strongly encourage you to use all the skills and capabilities you have, but if you reach the limit of how far you can take someone, that is when we want to be a resource to you. Okay? So this is why we don't answer the question, how do we know when to call a professional? How do we know when to call a professional? The easiest answer for that fits within what I call the parable of the Camaro. Okay, if you get to know me, you're going to hear me use lots of parables or metaphors. I have a 19-year-old daughter who's half dancer, half mechanic. She's 19 years old, and a couple years ago she used her summer income to buy an old Camaro. Beautiful Camaro. It's cherry red with black trim, T-tops, and the works, and it spends about 50% of its time dead in my driveway. But she knew that when she bought it because she was looking forward to being a mechanic and working on this. Every once in a while, when it's dead in the driveway, she will get her little sliding thing that you lay on your back on. She'll put her hair in a ponytail and she'll get under there and get her hands all greasy and her face all greasy. And in most cases, she ends up coming in the house and saying, "Dad, you should come help me fix the car." I don't know why, but for some reason she thinks that because I'm a mechanic for brains, I'm also a mechanic for cars. I actually know very little about cars. I do know that they have pistons. I do know they require electricity, air, and gas. And that's about all I know about them. So I'll go out there and yes, I'm here to help you with your car. And she'll say blah, 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 and she loses me within 10 minutes because she knows more about mechanic language than I ever have. Manifold, transactor thing, blah, blah, blah. I'm already lost. So I'll move the wire on the battery a few times, see if that works. I'll tap the radiator fluid a few times, and I'm all, "How's that? Am I helping here?" "Dad, you're useless." And there's a phrase I've learned that's very helpful, and I encourage you to have this ready in your pocket, bishops. The phrase is, "I think we've reached the edge of my skills." Okay? I think we've reached my maximum capacity to serve you in this situation. Let's consult a specialist. Lucky for me, I have more than one neighbor who is very skilled at cars. And I'll say, let's just have Bob come over and take a look and make a recommendation on where we should go from here. A specialist take a look and make recommendations. Something unfortunate has been dropped on your shoulders, bishops, and as I've interviewed hundreds of bishops, I've heard them ask questions like, how do I know which treatment or which program or which therapist to send this person to? How do I know when the addiction's bad enough? How do I know if it even is an addiction? I am sad that someone has suggested that you, as a dentist, plumber, orthodontist, whatever you are supposed to have the skills to assess the psychological complexities of someone's brain and to decide what is actually needed for them. If I'm in your shoes, that's going to feel a lot like what I feel like when I go out to the car, I look at it, and I see it's a mess, and I see that it's not working, and my daughter says, "Just tell me what's wrong with it. Just tell me what's wrong with it, and tell me what to do to make it work." I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with it, and I don't know how to make it work. So we assume you're going to be in that situation sometimes. You have someone who really wants to have self-mastery. You have someone who wants to complete the repentance process so they can go on a mission, so they can get married in the temple, so they can get their temple recommend back, and you're standing there going, "I don't know what to do for you." So please do everything you can, and when you've reached the limit of your skill level, just say to them, "You know what? Let's have a specialist look at it and make recommendations." Now, we all know if you go to the dentist and you say, "Please take a look at these teeth and make some recommendations," you can always ignore the dentist. You as a bishop know that for medical things, it's not time, it's not appropriate for you to go, "All right, I'm going to really try to figure out your medical needs, whether you have cancer or pancreatitis or something else, and then I'm going to tell you what to do about it." The same is true with psychological things. Psychological things can be extremely complex, and we don't want you to hold that on your shoulders. So find yourself one or two or three specialists that you have confidence will be accurate in their assessments and will give good recommendations that don't look like they're money grubbers. People who will give you the least expensive but most accurate and effective intervention. Now, because we are experiencing this on a regular basis, on a frequent basis, we have developed a system to make this easier for you. I've listened to many bishops express to me the frustration of, we get to that point. Maurice, I help get to that point, and I'm talking to my person, and I say, "Can we agree that we've reached the edge of our skill level? We've worked really hard on this, but I don't know what more we can do." And they go, "Yes, Bishop, I agree with you." And you say, "We should probably consult a specialist now." And they say, "I agree with you." And so you reach in your Rolodex, modern version of it, your phone, You write down a phone number and you slide it over to them, and they go, "Good plan, Bishop," and they proceed to lose the number, forget to call, or ignore it for 3 or more weeks. And you get to go through the awkward experience of going, "How's that going? How's that going? How's that going?" And it just creates this unpleasant tension between you and them. Thanks to COVID and the need to really pursue different ways of using technology, we have found a solution for this pattern. So what you do, Bishop, is after you've done all you can do, and you've decided, like I do with the Camaro, okay, we've gone as far as I can, this is as much as I know how to do you agree that we need to consult a specialist and get recommendations from them? The person says, "Yes, I agree." Great. Then you take that link, you click on it, and it opens up a calendar. This is a calendar of actual appointment opportunities for very brief consultations that for a limited time, these are free for as long as we can make them free. I will be doing many of them. My co-therapist will be doing some of them as needed if we get overwhelmed. So Bishop, you are sitting across from them and they say, "Yes, I agree with you, Bishop." You say, "Great." You open up your device, you push the link, it opens a calendar, you scroll through looking for what's available. You say to them, "Does Thursday at 6 p.m. work for you, or Monday at 7? And they go, "Wait, what?" Thursday at 6 or Monday for what? "We just agreed that you wanted a professional consultation on where to go from here." "Yeah, but I didn't know you were actually going to set it. I didn't think you were serious." "Absolutely, I was serious. We do want to work through this, and this is a trusted professional that I have carefully screened already, and I have confidence they're going to give us recommendations that are gospel-centered, scientifically accurate, and not going to steal all the money from us." Okay, we are ready for that. So then you just pick a time. It's been our experience that over 85% of the people who have appointments like this actually show up. Because once the relief of the burden of setting up the appointment is gone, then the person is way more likely just to show up. So as you fill out the information on it, put their name, their phone number, mobile number, their email address, and notes on what you want us to look for, what you want us to pay attention to. Fill that out, put your name as the bishop in the bottom, your phone number, so that we can send you a copy of the recommendations. So we will give them a recommendation, we'll pass the same recommendation on to you, and then the two of you together can decide what course of action to take. A good clinician will give you like an ABC option. If you want to invest more money, this would be the option. If you want to invest in medium size, if you want to spend less, and they will give you their prediction of the outcome. If you try this, this is how it'll help. If you try this, this is how it'll help, etc., etc. So please, bishops, if you are in the presence of someone who's anxiously engaged and wanting to learn and recover, they're wobbly, they can't quite figure it out, and you've taken them as far as you can, follow this link procedure, get the appointment set up, and we'll provide you with recommendations. I hope this helps.